Good afternoon, LinkedIn Live. Welcome all of our brothers and sisters in the lending community. Today we have a very special guest with us. We have a Peter Renton from LendIt FinTech and also the Lend Academy founder. Peter, thank you for your time today.
My pleasure, Jeffrey. Great to be here.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you. Peter, what I thought would be useful of our time today is to talk about this nasty little bug that showed up about 7 or 8 months ago and what it's done to all of industries as we know it. And so if I could set the stage,
Yep.
your organization is the largest media and events company that represents innovation in the digital space and the banking space. What happened when COVID hit the streets? What kind of reaction did you have?
Well, I mean, if you remember back in the early days of the pandemic, there was just so much uncertainty. Every day brought new news that was shocking to so many people, and some companies got ahead of it. We here at LendIt FinTech, we decided that we needed to move fairly quickly. We had an event planned for the middle of May in person in New York, and it became pretty clear by mid to late March that just was not going to be able to happen, and so we right away we pivoted to having really a more digital focus, and we at the time we thought this may go on for 3 months and then we'll be back to normal. We moved our event to September, thinking that by then things will be okay. Still planning on an in-person event, but what we found was that our community, just there was so much going on the consumer lending side, on the small business lending side, digital banking. Things were changing so rapidly, and what we decided to do was really get ahead of it and bring some of these virtual panels with the leaders in the industry, bring them out right away. We launched our own premium digital community, and we got that going in the middle of May, and because we felt like that people needed to hear from each other how companies were coping with this unprecedented changes to pretty much every industry in financial services has been impacted in some way.
Yep. Yeah, and what I love about the fintech space is that we represent evolution and efficiency and thought change, thought leadership. And so to have to go through that as an organization, pivot on the spot, I think is critical. I've been reviewing and preparation for our time today. I saw your FinTech digital strategy. How has that helped your community during this time?
Well, I think it's been critical. I mean, we felt like when we were all, particularly early on in the pandemic, everyone was just sheltering at home in place, and no one was having in-person meetings at all, but there was still a need for to learn from each other. And so we found like particularly early on we were amazed by some of the virtual panels we put on had over 1,000 people registering, and that was we've been doing these on and off for years, but we'd never had sort of a response like that. So the community responded really well, and and then as we switched from our in-person event, which was planned for late September, to doing it digitally on those same dates, we felt like the community as well came together to support. Now, obviously, there's some people that said, you know what, not doing a virtual event, I'll just wait till you go back to in-person. There was some of that. But the vast majority were supportive and ended up, I think, for our big USA event that we had in late September, people were surprised at how helpful it was, how useful, not just with learning, but with networking. We had a huge networking push, and it was really everything you would expect from a LendIt event that we've done over the years, but in a purely digital format. We really were able to deliver, I think, something that people really appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the event. I was a huge fan. About a month ahead of that event, I came to this realization that it would probably be wise to have as much contacts in the fintech space that as I could. And the event really brought home the importance of networking for me. The Brella technology for scheduling face-to-face, quick face-to-face introductions was brilliant. Very well orchestrated. I would like to kid a little bit. I bet when you guys said we're going to move it to September and we're going to do it digitally, you were like, okay, that's way in the future, and then it's there. And so showtime.
Right.
What was that experience like?
Yeah, so it was, because keep in mind too, we never knew exactly how long this pandemic was going to last. So when we made the decision, I think it was late March, we made the decision to move our dates back away from the middle of May into September. We thought, by September we'll be fine. But then it became clear, I think it was in early June, that we realized we're not going to be able to have a physical event. So when you look at that, we had 3.5 months to prepare. Now, the good thing was we'd been doing a lot of digital, virtual panels. We had a lot of the systems down, but we didn't want this to be just a Zoom webinar conference. We really wanted it to be something special. LendIt FinTech has really prided itself on delivering high quality events that really we put a lot of effort into just the production value of the event, so when you come and you have a really nice experience overall. We wanted to mirror that in the digital world. So, we actually looked around and we went with a TV production company that had done that had sort of done some of these in-person virtual events, and we went with them, and we didn't have to use them. We would have saved a lot of money if we didn't, but we also felt like it was important to have this be special, and we like everybody else, we were wondering exactly what was going to happen because we'd never done this before, but it really exceeded our expectations dramatically. We were really happy with how it all turned out. We had a lot of tech run-throughs, a lot of the sort of production kind of. We had many meetings where we made sure that everything was right, and luckily, everything worked just fantastic on the day, and it went smoothly.
Mm-hmm. From the outside looking in, it was seamless. I had several conversations where I talked about being the booth guy, handing out T-shirts, shaking hands, and having this experience was like it had been done before. So kudos for that.
Well, thank you.
Were there any interesting moments behind the scenes where there was like an uh-oh factor moment that you would share with us? Or
oh yeah, there's so many. There's so many. Like we had one that sticks into my mind. We had the day 3 opening keynotes, and if you were paying really close attention, you notice we ran a couple of minutes late starting on that, because I was getting the message from the production guy who was giving me hand signals, say to stretch it out, keep talking, because we didn't have our moderator. He hadn't shown up, and we were ready to go live, and then suddenly he shows up. I get the thumbs up. We move on. It looks totally seamless, but we were scrambling. I was going to have to keep talking until that happened, and then if he didn't show up, I was going to have to sort of take over the whole interview, and that would have been challenging. But so those sorts of things happen. We had someone else who just never got their audio working, and that was we had to end up replaying that the next day, and so there was little things like that happened. Just people. People, they're used to, like, when you're at a physical event, you walk in 5 minutes before, it's no big deal. But here, we're relying on everybody else's technology and everybody else being on time, because you're physically thousands of miles away from these people. And so that's where, and we had a whole team of production people that would make sure the lighting was good, the sound was good. They would help kind of troubleshoot the sound. So some people came in and their sound was horrible, and they got the tech people to change some settings, maybe even use a different headset. And by the time they got to us for live, they were all sounding and looking good.
Fantastic. So what future events will you use this same strategy for?
Well, that's, we have our Latin American events. We operate in 3 geographies. The US, obviously, we had our European event just last week, and then we've got our Latin American event in December. So that we're going to be using the same technology for that event. And then, for next year, we're things are still up in the air. I mean, the way it's not looking like this pandemic is going to go away, and it's not looking like people are going to be comfortable, moving, having thousands of people at an indoor space, in the spring, which is when we typically do our events. So, it's looking very likely that we'll have to have a virtual event next year, which, now that we've done it once, we've got a track record, we know how it works. Not more importantly, our attendees and our sponsors know how it works, know that we can do this. So we're pretty comfortable with, when we haven't made the decision yet, but when we do announce how we're going to go, we think if we do have to do it virtually, it will be a great experience for everybody. Hopefully even better than what we did this year.
Well, you set the bar pretty high. It's going to be interesting to see what you do next. Fantastic. So Peter, as a thought leader, you've been doing this for a long, long time. As a thought leader, what advice could you give to a young person or somebody wanting to make their way either in media and events or in fintech?
I think what's great about today that is there's so much content out there. You can get an MBA in fintech just by consuming some of the stuff that we've produced here at LendIt over the years. A lot of it's available online. There's podcasts happening. There's lots of there's things like this that you guys are doing. There's so much great content. So my biggest advice would be to devour as much of that as you possibly can. Really take it all in and become a thought leader yourself. I see lots of young people that are out there. They're writing their own material. They're doing interviews. They're doing podcasts. So get involved. Work for an interesting company that is doing interesting things that really are pushing the edge of technology. I think that's always a good thing to do. But most importantly, just become a sponge and take it all in, because fintech is an exciting place to be. It's going to be around forever, and there'll be finance is a big part of our lives, and the technology keeps changing, and new companies keep coming up, new technologies keep being introduced, and we're only just getting started here. Fintech this decade is going to really see some just dramatic changes. If you look at the last decade, we saw some really important changes. This decade it'll be faster. It'll be more complete, and I'm never been more excited than I am today when it comes to the future of fintech.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
To our audience, if you guys don't know who Peter Renton is, you need to check him out. He is weekly interviewing and doing podcasts with unique individuals and companies and strategies to impact the fintech world. It's an honor and a pleasure. If you guys have any questions of Turnkey Lender, reach out anytime. Peter, thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Jeffrey. See you.